Okay, so do you think that the implant in your head is possibly put there to make you an
Snap again
assassin?
or
Yeah, to
something?
make you snap, to make you an assassin, and maybe a political figure.
Maybe.
So you could be one of those people that just they're sitting in your house
We
waiting
had
for the
individuals
day.
to go over Vietnam in the 60s that were brainwashed that they was a killing machine.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't look at a small child killing a small child meant anything. They just did. Seek and destroy.
So do you think that is what is in you now?
I believe that they try to program inmates in prison to make them believe that, or maybe there is a device that that's all they know is to snap upon being pressured or something they don't like.
That's how they keep the system going.
That's how
Have
they
you
keep
tried
it,
to get the
because
implant
that individual will mess up. He'll go back to jail for 18 months, and then he gets paroled to the same parole officer, and it keeps him in a job constantly in the system. You know, that's how they work.
It's called
That's just how they work.
Residuism.
Now, have you tried to pull the implant out through pliers or anything?
I got little bump up there at times. It swells. I don't know if it could be a tick from you. I don't know. You know, I had it checked in prison and that, and you know, it's a cyst, they say.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that because it's always itching at times, you know.
Okay. Now let's go to you, Patty.
Yes.
Patty, you also are aware that you are being videotaped.
Yes.
Much of people will see it.
Yes.
Tell me about, you said there was something terrible going on. What is going on?
Well, see, back, I believe, in the year 1955, the government, to my best estimates, did a social moral experiment with a lot of people in our country. I mean, they didn't understand at that time that it was going to have the widespread implications that it's going on now in America. They thought that everything was going to be just, you know, secret and there was nothing going to be said about it. But there's certain people that found out stuff, like myself, through, I guess, coincidences, you might as well say, through coming against the people, you know, and talking out before in little small groups to people and saying that this isn't right.
Well, what exactly was going on? What were they, like, implementing into society in the 50s?
I still got
They had people they used to lock up in institutions, and they used to say these people were not fit to live in the communities and civilization, not knowing the real reasons why they weren't fit to live in community and civilizations, because they didn't know a whole lot about the brain and the function of the brain. They thought that at those times they didn't have a whole lot of tools to work with, but this time in this country we have more tools. We have modern ways to find out what really causes these people to have these problems and disagreements and disabilities.
So what were they doing with the people? Like, what was the goal?
Well, the goal was to keep them from harming other people at that time because they didn't know a whole lot about the brain.
Which is probably a good thing.
Ignorance. It was really ignorance at that time. Ignorance of what was really wrong with these type of people.
Did they experiment on them?
Yes, much.
How did they do it?
Well, they used to do it through lobotomies. They performed by doctors that were
I could
schooled in
take you
this.
to state hospitals that have mass graveyards out in the woods.
Yes, I've seen those.
And they uncovered some of the Somerset State Hospital now.
Today, them hospitals were closed down and made as hospital prisons. That they want to expand. They're digging up the ground, and they're now finding these bodies.
Okay, well, continue with yours, and then we're going to get back to Tim.
Well, what happened is after these, I guess President John F. Kennedy, he was the one that found out because he had a sister named Mary Catherine Kennedy.
And she was nuts?
And she was what they call insane by their definition of insanity. Okay? Yeah. And what it was really a sickness that even himself shared to some degree, which was covered up by our own government.
Yes. Okay?
It was not made public. He went against it, and he said, and excuse me for saying this, but this is what I understand. I saw a movie on it, and it says, I'm going to close down these hellholes of abuse, because he found out that time, that his sister had been a victim of the experiment called lobotomy, a brain lobotomy.
Okay.
He had a lobe of his brain removed, and he went against the government, and he came up assassinated.
Okay, so you think that JFK was assassinated due to preventing lobotomies?
Yes, he spoke out, but I don't think he knew he'd done that, though. I don't think he was aware of it. I don't think he was aware of what he was doing.
Because at the time,
And at the
You
time,
had two major countries that, well, actually three, that were testing human strength in their brains by doing experiments like that, such as while the war was going on in World War II, Hitler was doing it.
Hitler was doing it
You
to,
know,
to the
he'd
men.
take wires up through blonde-haired
much brain.
Germans and scratch their brain and made them madmen.
Planting in
to
chips
kill,
in their brains
you know,
and everything.
I'll call you
Make
right
what was
back.
called the
I'm
power
filming something,
power troopers.
okay?
They were called to go in and just destroy without even feelings. Women, men, and child, disabled people, and also the Jews, unfortunately. And it was through this that the government got the idea that how are we going to control this population of insane people, and that's what they come up with.
I mean,
And then-
you look at the average scientist today. He's always stating that we were not of God or whatever religions say to it. But let's look at the pyramids and the exposure of the ground levels today, finding radiation levels, and we thought it was meteors. Who's to say they didn't have the capability of nuclear and there was a fight among these spaceships and that we are offsprings, the aliens, as experiments, and they want to come back and this.
Okay,
that.
do you
See how we
believe
did.
The
that?
government hides a lot.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, do you believe that most of us here are stemming from alien DNA, and that some of us may have a little bit too much or not enough, and that's why they went insane?
Yes.
The possibility,
Yes,
yes.
I do
Okay,
believe that.
let's go with this alien thing. Are we good?
Very much.
We can just, yeah, I'll just